Welcome to the Perimenopause Playbook, a place where we explore the fascinating intersection of neuroscience and interior design to support the cognitive health of women in perimenopause and menopause. I am Lola Ajayi, an interior designer on a mission to share my findings on neuroscience for interior design with protocols and ideas that support and enhance the cognitive well-being of women during this transformative stage of life. Join me as we delve into the fascinating world of neuroscience for interior design and discover how we can create spaces that nurture and empower women during this important time. Let's design supportive spaces for a healthier mind, a healthier body, and a healthier soul together. Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to episode 12 of the Perimenopause Playbook. I'm really excited to bring this to you because this is a subject that is present in pretty much everyone's home. So it's going to be, pretty much all of the topics that I've covered relate to everyone in male, female, young person, adult demographic. But for the purposes of the service that I offer, it's primarily for women in perimenopause and postmenopause. However, it's open to everyone. So just wanted to put that out there first of all. So we're going to explore understanding volatile organic compounds, or also known as VOCs, what they are and how they impact the brain. So before we get started, two quick things. If you're not already following me on social media, I'm on TikTok. I'm more active on TikTok than Instagram because my Instagram got shut down and I'm starting all over again. But you can reach me on Instagram. I'm also on LinkedIn. And your like, your follow, your sharing would help a great deal with getting my voice further out there, reaching more people, and just growing. So your followership is really important to me and deeply appreciated. Your likes are also very, very important to me as well. And the second thing is on December 20th, 2024 at 6 p.m. Paris time, I would be hosting a workshop. And the purpose of the workshop is to shine a spotlight on the benefits of neuroscience for interior design in the support of the cognitive health of women in perimenopause and postmenopause. So it not only explores the scientific aspects of how we can design our spaces, it also explores all the practical strategies and design ideas that you can use. And we will start off with, just because from my conversations with people, I've seen that not many people understand that perimenopause is a period of life that exists, and we just have been led to believe that it's just something that happens in our minds. But this is a really crucial transition phase. I'm beginning to experience it, and I'm starting to sort of see how the duration of time between when we begin perimenopause to when we hit menopause and then postmenopause is so crucial to us discovering a new way of, or how we're reinventing ourselves and preparing our bodies for life postmenopause. So this workshop is, I'm working on it every day, and I'm really excited and nervous to share it with you. So if you haven't already signed up for the workshop, please do so. There's a link in my bio, and also I'll pop a link down in the show notes below. And when you sign up, you have access to download an e-guide and workbook, and that also helps you get started thinking about how we can intentionally create our spaces to support us and gain agency back over our environment, and in turn our minds, our bodies, and just sort of help us create healthy supportive habits around our everyday lives and work. So yeah, that those are the two things. Let's get started with the podcast. So imagine this scenario: you have either worked with an interior designer, decorator, or maybe an avid DIYer, and you've just given your home this fresh coat of paint, a new carpet, new sort of just relooked your space, and you're so proud of yourself and you're so happy to be in this new space that's just giving you all the feels. And that color that you chose is the perfect shade that I've been obsessing over for weeks and weeks, and it pairs so beautifully well with that beautiful ceramic lamp, with the beautiful lampshade and the curtains and the carpets and that spanking new sofa that you love so much, in that beautiful velvet color shade that you chose. And so you decide to sit back and just enjoy and admire your work. But within hours, you start to feel a little off. Maybe it's a headache, a slight headache that's building in intensity, or maybe it's just brain fog, this subtle not remembering things or forgetting stuff. Or maybe you just can't quite put your finger on what's going on. Maybe it's nausea. That is what usually happens with me. What if I told you that the culprit could be volatile organic compounds, or VOCs? Because VOCs are lurking in more things in our home than we might think. So let's dive into what they are, where they're hiding in our homes, how they impact our brain, our mood, our memory, especially for women navigating perimenopause and postmenopause. And most importantly, let's look at how we can begin to make informed, safer choices for our living spaces. Now, before I proceed, this is not about fear mongering. My goal is to empower you with knowledge, and with knowledge comes agency. Knowledge is power, right? So, what I'm doing here is breaking down the science of volatile organic compounds. I'm going to explore I'm going to tie them into actionable design solutions and strategies. And I'll give you practical tools to take back control of your environment, and by extension, your cognitive and physical health. So let's get into it. We're going to start with the basics. So, volatile organic compounds, or VOCs, are gases that are emitted by certain materials. And VOCs are in pretty much every living organism. Human beings emit some levels of VOCs, plants emit VOCs. So, I would make a distinction here before we continue that volatile organic compounds fall into beneficial categories and harmful categories. So, the purpose of this podcast is to shine the spotlight on harmful VOCs, because they're not inherently evil, as you may have understood. They're part of many manufacturing processes, but the problem is their impact on human health, particularly when these gases evaporate and linger in our indoor air. You have likely encountered VOCs more time than you realize. You know that new car smell, or the sharp scent of fresh paint, or in a lot of cases when I buy, and this is the reason why I stopped buying magazines. Every time I buy a new magazine and I open it up, the smell, within a few minutes, I am nursing the beginnings of a migraine, and if I don't put it away, it balloons into some other monster that is just unnecessary for wanting to enjoy a magazine. So these things that create this network chain of events that are detrimental to our human health, these are VOCs. And they're found in common items like paints, varnishes, adhesives, carpets, and even our cleaning products. Now, VOCs are called volatile because they evaporate at room temperature, and as they disperse into the air, they enter our body primarily through the process of inhalation. But here's where it gets more interesting. They don't just stop at the level of our lungs, because they cross into the bloodstream, and in a lot of cases, they even reach our brain. In fact, research has shown that when VOCs enter the olfactory system, which is that part of our body that's responsible for smell, they can directly access the limbic system in our brain. And this limbic system is the area of our brain that's tied to emotions, to memory, and even our stress responses. So if you think about that for a second, these compounds are not just a nuisance, they can literally change how our brain operates. Now, let's talk about the immediate effects of VOC exposure because we have long term effects and we have the short term effects. So, when you walk into a space or you interact with an object or thing and you start to feel these effects of VOC exposure, that is your brain's way of saying that something is not right here. I don't like what's happening that's invading my personal space. And these short-term effects could include feelings of headaches, irritability or mood swings, or difficulty concentrating, or feelings of fogginess or nausea in my case. But what happens when you're exposed over a prolonged period of time? And that's where things become even more concerning for me. So, prolonged exposure to VOCs has been linked to neuroinflammation. And neuroinflammation is simply nerd speak for inflammation in the human brain. And this neuroinflammation can disrupt neural pathways that are involved in memory and in learning. And studies have also shown that certain VOCs can act as endocrine disruptors, which means that they interfere with our hormonal system. And these can exacerbate mood swings, anxiety, or even depressive symptoms. Now let's explore a little bit because I feel like it's important to understand the parts of the brain that's affected by harmful VOC exposure because and also the harmful effects also are sort of the antithesis of the beneficial effects. But we're going to talk about the harmful effects here and the parts of the brain that are affected by it. So the first part of the brain region that's affected is the prefrontal cortex. And this is our brain's command center that is responsible for focus, for decision making, and problem solving. And VOC exposure can impair the prefrontal cortex's function, which makes it harder to concentrate. And we need to be able to concentrate. If we're working, we're juggling multiple tasks at one go. We need this prefrontal cortex to be working optimally. The second region of the brain is the hippocampus, and this is our memory hub. And chronic VOC exposure can make it harder to retain and recall information. And so, if you pair these cognitive effects with the emotional toll of feeling unwell, it is easy to see how VOCs can have a ripple effect of just nasties throughout our lives and our everyday existence. Now, let's talk about why this issue hits closer to home for women in perimenopause and postmenopause because it hits closer to home because during this transition stage of our lives, hormonal shifts alter the brain's chemistry and its defense systems. So the chemical that is responsible for this is estrogen, which plays a neuroprotective role. It helps to keep inflammation in check and it also supports our cognitive function. And as estrogen levels begin to fluctuate and decline, the brain becomes more susceptible to external stressors, including VOCs. And for me, this is an unnecessary add on of external stressors because we already have estrogen decline to deal with, right? And when you add to that the fact that perimenopause often comes with its own set of cognitive challenges, that is the result of these hormonal fluctuations and subsequent decline, you have got for yourself and ourselves the perfect storm. So now I'm going to talk about a real world example. This was many years ago, long before I started to do research into neuroscience for interior design. This was many years ago. So a client of mine was asked me to help to redesign her bedroom specifically because she wanted to make it a sanctuary for rest. So it was such a fun experience and we were both on the same boat in the same boat with regards to a popular brand of paint that she absolutely loved and that I also absolutely loved, but we didn't realize that it was loaded with VOCs, with harmful VOCs. And within weeks post finishing the project, she started experiencing headaches and disrupted sleep, which of course influenced and disrupted her everyday activity. It started to bother me because when she reported that this started after she moved in, after she started using her bedroom, I started to wonder what the problem could be. So we started to research into we started digging into, was it her carpet, was it the paint, was it the sheets, what was it? And we found that the major culprit was her paint finish. I'm not going to name the name of the brand, but there are loads of brands out there that are loaded with harmful VOCs, and there are also loads of brands out there that are eco-conscious and they're aware, and they have alternatives for to support our health. So eventually we switched her to a zero VOC paint, and of course, needless to say, she didn't pay for the repaint job. And not long after that, within a matter of days, her headaches disappeared, and she finally started to feel at ease in her space. And I felt like at that time, and this was one of the events, the series of events that led me towards thinking about interior spaces as not just about aesthetics, but about supporting cognitive health, supporting our physical health, supporting our daily habits. So this is just to underline the fact that VOCs are not just, they might appear to be this tiny little element in materials and finishes that are deemed necessary, but the kind of impact that they have on our health in general is huge. But the good news is that we have options. So when it comes to paint finishes, for instance, look for labels that have low VOCs or zero VOCs on their labels. I can speak to brands like Eco's Paints or Benjamin Moore's Natural Line. These are excellent choices. I also I know of, I've never used it before, so I can't speak to it. I know that Dulux carries a line of green paints as well, so that's worth having a look. For furniture and finishes, prioritize untreated or naturally treated wood and fabrics. Avoid materials like particle board or MDF, microdensity fiberboard, which are often uh, finished and developed with formaldehyde. And as far as flooring alternatives go, there are loads of options like bamboo or cork, which are safer than synthetic floorings. And also choose wool, organic cottons. There's coir, there's sisal, there's cellulose. I have to look into what goes into cellulose, but cellulose is sort of, I'm not going to speak to cellulose at the moment because I haven't done a lot of research on it. And these materials are safer than synthetic carpets, for sure. However, that said, I mean, these are all great options and alternatives to materials and finishes that contain VOCs. But the crucial element that I have to highlight, I've highlighted it so many times in my previous podcasts and in my social media posts, is even with careful choices, some VOCs might still creep in, and they lurk in the air when they are at room temperature, and they just sort of lurk in there. They lurk on fabrics. They lurk. That's why it's very, very important to think about improving the air quality of our interior spaces. And that is also why ventilating our spaces is absolutely crucial. I understand that there are certain parts of the world, like where I live in Paris, where we're experiencing autumn leading to winter. The temperature has dropped really low now, and it's a bit of a hassle to open the windows because that means that we're swapping out warm air for cool air. But it is so important to open our windows regularly, and this just sort of, this recalibrates the air, lets in fresh air, and releases um, air that has been that still air. That's the short version. So 15 to 20 minutes every day is great. It's enough time to filter out still air. And you can also support that by using air purifiers with activated carbon filters, and also consider introducing air purifying plants like peace lilies or buster ferns. There's a wide range of them out there, but there's so many plants that offer not just air purifying benefits, but just cognitive health benefits. And if you start to look, you would find plants that resonate with you aesthetic wise and function wise. And I also use a diffuser, which packs which some like a double-edged sword for me, because it not only detoxifies my space when I need it to, but it's also a natural way to scent. Not just a double-edged, like a triple-edged sword, because depending on what I'm trying to do, I use a blend of tea tree, eucalyptus, and mint to purify my air. And then I have a blend of essential oils that I use for when I'm trying to relax and get into my meditative state, or just scent my house naturally and organically. And also, essential oils have just great essential oils are a great example of beneficial VOCs because of the plant chemicals in there that interact with the brain. That's a whole nother topic for another time. But yes, so these are great, but it's really important to ventilate your space. That is the most important things. And the other elements like the air purifiers and the nebulizers and vaporizers are just would be supporting ventilation, right? So another really cool and another great tool that a few colleagues of mine have used, I haven't used it, I plan to use it, is using VOC testing kits. And these are sort of like you creating a report card for your home's air quality. And they're an affordable way to pinpoint problem areas and make targeted improvements in your spaces. So yeah, so have a look at that, and if that works for you, then absolutely do that. And that's also part of gaining agency over your space and understanding how your space works, how the quality of the air, and how how extensively or minimally you need to purify your interior home air. Now that we've talked about that, let's explore the social and psychological side of VOC exposure. So we all know that our homes. Well, I say this all the time to my clients, and my would and my not would be my would be mentees and people that are just around me. I love talking about this stuff. So whether it's paid or unpaid, I love to share information about things, elements of life and interior spaces that can improve our quality of life. And so I say this all the time. Our homes are supposed to be designed to be a sanctuary for rest, recuperation, and recovery. But volatile organic compounds can very quickly turn them into sources of stress. And this invisible threat can compound existing feelings of overwhelm, especially for women who are juggling work, family, and hormonal changes that come along with all these other obligations that we're dealing with, that we're not dealing with them, because these are things that we enjoy and we love, and it gives our lives meaning. Um, so we do not need to have the added stressors of volatile organic compounds when we can help not having them in our spaces. But here's the thing, you don't have to do a complete overhaul of your entire home overnight, right? Uh, Going 100% full throttle can become really overwhelming really quickly, because there's so many moving parts to interior spaces. And if you have family, there's so many moving parts to that as well. So making small intentional changes incrementally can really lead to big shifts in the way that your cognitive health and your physical health is improved, you and your family. And when you start to choose VOC free products, you're not just improving your air quality, you're reclaiming your mental well-being, your physical well-being. And I always say that awareness is agency. Agency is gaining your power back. And it is really important to have this awareness of how your spaces work and how it impacts your cognitive health, and how you can use it to support you. So yeah, this was a pretty short. It was a very short podcast, and I'm just going to run through what we have discussed so far. We uncovered the hidden world of VOCs. We explored the impact on our brain, and we also explored their role in our cognitive health. And we also explored, most importantly, how we can minimize our exposure to these VOCs. So the key takeaway here, again, is having an awareness of the challenges, because the first step is having an awareness. And once you have that awareness, you can then start to explore the many different ways that you can improve and change things. Awareness, again, guys, awareness, ladies and gentlemen, if there are any gentlemen listening, awareness is agency. We do not need to have a perfect home, but we do need to have an intentionally designed home. So if this episode has been useful, you've learned something new, and you find it inspiring, please share it with someone that you care about, or share with people you know might need to hear this. And if you're looking for more neuroscience backed design strategies on how to create healthy, nurturing homes for you and your family, do subscribe to this podcast to be the first to know when new episodes drop. I release a new episode every 2 weeks. And also, please like and follow and share and subscribe to my social media channels, because your support helps the almighty algorithms know that this is valuable content and it needs to reach more people. So thank you in advance for your support. And until next time, be well, stay well, have a great weekend. It's a Saturday. Take care of your space, and your space will take care of you. Bye.